As you can no doubt tell, I've left my normal setup, ventured out into the great outdoors, God's country. I've left my domain expansion, I've been kidnapped by Austin Powers here, but my little adventure has the added benefit of serving a second purpose, which is being witness protection, so Mike Tyson doesn't track me down and, wiggle his way down my chimney and beat my ass in the middle of the night, because I'm about to sling a few insults here at this absolutely awful event that he's agreed to. I've said since day one, the genesis, that the Jake Paul vs. Mike Tyson fight is a pathetic embarrassment of an event. Just from a conceptual standpoint, it is so dog shit. And somehow it just keeps finding a way to get even worse. It's an absolute circus show. So, Mike Tyson recently just had a medical emergency on a flight. He had an ulcer flare up, and it's postponed the event even further. I'll dive into that a bit more, but I just want to start it's not even just the more recent stuff that's happening with the embarrassing press conference where Mike Tyson made the baffling statement about how when Jake Paul was 16 and dancing, it gave him a boner. That's a level of trash talk I've never seen before right there. I don't know what the plan was, but it fell flat on its face. I tried to figure out what the play might have been there, the strategy on stream. The only thing I could come up with was that he was trying to, belittle him as a fighter. It's like, oh, this guy, he's not a fighter. No, I don't even want to fight this guy. I just want to fuck him. Yeah, he, dances around and stuff, and, I just want to get over there and fucking squeeze on his little cheeks and twist on his nipples. Maybe make him uncomfortable with statements like that. I don't know. But it was a shocking display at the press conference. Everything about that was awful. They weren't taking it seriously. How could anyone take the fight seriously? I've speculated from the beginning that there's probably a no knockout clause. On paper, Jake Paul should have no chance against Mike Tyson, but he's 60 years old and he is turning to dust, as every human being will as they get later on in life. It's the way of the world. Mike Tyson is one of the best to ever fight. By all definitions, he is a certified legend at the top of the food chain. But he's pushing 60 years old. He's not in his prime anymore. And real life isn't like anime. Very rarely will you have the ancient geriatric master with a graying beard be able to stand toe to toe with the youth. He's not Master Roshi, right? It's not how that works. Seems like a mod from GTA or something where you just spawn in two characters and have them fight because it's silly. But to have it happen in real life is just kind of sad. This is a lose-lose situation for Jake Paul, by the way. Jake Paul has a reputation for only fighting retired ex-fighters, not even boxers most of the time. He's fought one boxer and lost, and now he's once again just going back to just fighting an old guy who has retired. So if he wins this fight, no one's going to give him respect because he beat a nearly 60-year-old Mike Tyson, once again continuing Jake Paul's reign as the fucking tyrannical boogeyman of the retirement homes. And if he loses to Mike Tyson, he's going to get clowned on endlessly for losing to a nearly 60-year-old man. It's fucking stupid. It's just the most blatant cash grab off of two names, because Jake Paul still has somewhat of an audience, and Mike Tyson is still one of the biggest names in sports history, so he's obviously going to bring in a big crowd that just likes to watch him fight or do anything, really. But beyond that, this isn't a you paid for the whole seat but you only need the edge type of situation, You're not going to be biting at your nails, jumping out of the chair at every thrown jab or anything, because it's just kind of like a pathetic little whimper of a cash grab, really. Mike Tyson has fought legends. Jake Paul fights to get out of his brother's shadow. They're not the same. This isn't a real match, no matter how hard they try and market it as such. The press conference really set the tone of the whole thing where they're both laughing back and forth. This isn't a real thing. They're just both getting paid a bag to do it. And that's it. Anyway, I'll talk about the most recent blemish on this event. Mike Tyson had a medical emergency while on a flight. It was identified as an ulcer flare-up, and he's been advised to avoid heavy training for a few weeks. So, in response to this, the event has been postponed to later on in the year. People who had previously purchased tickets are still going to be able to have those tickets honored for the new date and all of that. or if you can't make it, you get a refund. I don't even know why I'm bothering to cover that component of it. I don't fucking work for SeatGeek, but I figured I'll just give you the entire kit and caboodle here of the situation. So it's been postponed because of Mike Tyson's ulcer flare-up, and if Jake Paul had any level of shame, he would just call off the fight in response to that. Just be like, hey, Mike Tyson, you got nothing to prove. But unfortunately, he's a pathetic little worm who would never do that because to him, he does have something to prove, that he's a real fighter. And to prove that, he fights retired boxers and sometimes not even boxers. If your grandfather's in a nursing home, you might want to give him a wellness check because Jake Paul might have come into the middle of the night and given him a contract to take Mike Tyson's place in the fight. Doesn't matter if your grandfather's a retired plumber. That man's going to get his shit pushed in by Jake Paul, and he's going to be talking about it for months about how he's like the ultimate fighter. But he refuses to fight actual people his own age or in the actual sports that he is competing in. And the one time he did, he lost. So he's gone right back to just attacking the elderly. It doesn't matter what happens in this fight. There's not a single soul on this planet that's going to look at Mike Tyson differently. If he loses the fight, no one's going to think that it ruins his legacy or anything. He's almost 60 fucking years old. Like, most people are kind of expecting that, but praying that he just, goes in there, goes ballistic, and just beats Jake Paul to a pulp. Like, obliterates him into, like, an unrecognizable fucking mess of flesh. That's most people's hopes, but if it doesn't happen, it's not going to affect Mike Tyson's legacy. For Jake Paul, though, everyone is going to look at him differently, no matter what happens with the fight. If the fight happens, which it seems like it will under no circumstances does it seem to be getting canceled, when this fight happens, everyone's going to look at Jake Paul even more pathetically. People will feel more disgust towards him than a urine stain in a gas station toilet. Because if he wins, he beat up an old Mike Tyson. If he loses, he lost to an old Mike Tyson. There is no winning in this scenario. The only winning move was not to play. But he can't fucking help himself. So anyway, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul both did issue statements in response to the ulcer flare-up, which I'll go ahead and go over here. Mike Tyson said, "I want to thank my fans around the world for their support and understanding during this time. Unfortunately, due to my ulcer flare-up, I have been advised by my doctor to lighten my training for a few weeks to rest and recover. My body is in better overall shape than it has been since the 1990s, and I will be back to my full training schedule soon." Now, Mike Tyson is in phenomenal shape, for sure. But there's a lot more that goes into fighting than just the shape that you're in the physique. And that's where old age really starts to take a huge toll. Jake Paul, this may have bought you some time, but in the end, you will still be knocked out and out of boxing for good. I appreciate everyone's patience and can't wait to deliver an unforgettable performance later this year. We can only pray that that's how this all unfolds. Everyone's got their fingers crossed that that's exactly what happens. Jake Paul also issued a statement. "I fully support postponing the event so Mike Tyson has no excuses come fight night. My fans know I don't want to face Iron Mike at anything but his best, which is why I'm fighting him at almost 60 years old when males really peak. 60 years old is when a man hits his power spike. That's when he's at his best." Yeah, absolutely. Yep, that's how that goes. But let there be no mistake. When he steps into the ring with me, I will be ready to claim my W with a sensational finish. Paul vs. Tyson will be one for the ages, and I promise to bring my best for this once-in-a-lifetime matchup. Jake Paul is correct about one thing in his statement, that Paul vs. Tyson will be one for the ages. It'll be looked upon for years to come as one of the worst examples of boxing ever displayed. A grim reminder of just how bad and corrupt it can get and how greedy it can become. This shit is embarrassing, and I think it will always be looked upon as a spittoon for people to spit in to remind us that, yikes, that was a shameful period in boxing history. It's really just awful. And I just wanted to talk about it a little bit in a video because of the most recent medical emergency for Mike Tyson. So anyway, that's really about it. I don't think I'll be watching it. I never really do. I just catch the Twitter clip highlights to figure out who won because it's a waste of time watching a Jake Paul fight. I'd honestly rather be listening to like a fucking 5-hour lecture on the Krebs cycle from my old university professor. That shit is just boring from him. So that's really it. So yep. I don't usually post a video this late into the evening, but right now I'm like a movie theater toilet. I am fuming. I am absolutely steaming because of how the Super Bowl just ended. I watch every Super Bowl, and in this one I didn't really have a horse in the race. I'm neither a Chiefs nor Eagles fan, I just wanted to be entertained. And for the majority of the game, I was thoroughly entertained. It was just a great game. Both teams putting on an incredible performance, going wacko mode, insano style, tying it 35-35. And just like the first Spider-Man movie when he fought Bonesaw, when Bonesaw was ready, we had 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime, and it was coming down to the wire, an absolute ass greaser. The Chiefs were driving down the field, they make it to the red zone, it's getting a little dicey for the Eagles, fans spilling their beer all over themselves in anticipation and fear, but the Eagles are putting up an incredible defensive stand, and then in the most crucial moment of the entire game, with less than 2 minutes remaining in this tie game, a penalty was called for holding against the Eagles, which lost them the game. One single bad call decided the outcome of the Super Bowl at the very end, which is what has led the majority of people who watch this game to call rigged, say the refs are all paid off, and say that it's all just part of the script. Because right now there's a tinfoil nipple clamp conspiracy theory that floats around that a lot of people genuinely believe that sports are rigged. Or rather scripted. I actually do agree that there is rigging to a certain level with the refs. I do think there is real corruption there, but let me just opine on the scripting thing real quick. I think that's a load of dirty barnacles. I think that is just a fat load of fish paste. I don't think sports are scripted at all. That's kind of an unhinged belief. But I do think the refs are corrupt. It's not just football, it's basketball as well. This entire year has really shown me, since I got back into watching sports live, I have seen so many awful officiating moments that I can find no other explanation besides just malicious corruption. And this is the most blatant example. The holding call, I can't show you any clips because obviously it's the fucking Super Bowl. If I even showed you a still image of it, I'm sure Roger Goodell of the NFL would come to my house personally and fucking slap me around and then hit me over the head with a fucking sledgehammer. So I can't show you anything, but if you watch the Super Bowl, you immediately know the call. The call was on the Eagles for holding. The receiver was going out, and the Eagles defender lightly touched him, like on the hip. It was a light touch and like a slight jersey tug that could have even been like accidental. It was so gentle. Like the way he treated the receiver is the way a mother would treat a newborn baby. It was so light and caring. There was no holding at all on the play. And Patrick Mahomes threw up a stinky meatball of a pass that was just uncatchable regardless for the receiver that it was intended for. But they still threw the flag and called holding on the Eagles, which gave the Chiefs a first down and also just gave them plenty of time to run out the clock, kick a field goal, win the game. It was decided by that call. It was the most crucial moment of the game, and the call instantly ended it pretty much on the spot. And under no circumstances is that acceptable. Regardless of what team you are rooting for, I'm sure all of us can recognize that this is a complete wet fart of an ending to an otherwise amazing game. We just got the bad ending to this one, unfortunately. The biggest sporting event that America has to offer is decided by the refs instead of the players. That's pathetic. That's awful. In a situation like this, I think they should go to the replays and be 100% sure that there is truly a penalty worthy of being called in a situation like this. It's a terrible look for the sport, and it's embarrassing overall. They should have 100% held the refs to a higher standard here. Oh, we're under 2 minutes to play, and this call is going to decide the outcome of the game. Everyone knew it. The second that call was made, even the commentators were like, oh, I don't agree with that one. Eek. That's a bit spicy. That's a no good. We don't like that. The commentators were outspoken about how bad the call was. In a situation where it is that crucial, they need to go back to the drawing board, check everything, and 100% be sure that this is a call that needs to be made. Because in this situation, it wasn't. It's a bad call. It's just straight up a shitty call. Even if you're the biggest Chiefs fan in the world, you got your Chiefs butt plug dialed all the way up to maximum turbo settings. It's vibrating in your colon. You're super excited they won. In the back of your mind, you know that it's a pretty upsetting ending. I'm sure you would have preferred if they had actually beat them on their own merit instead of having the refs help. Because no matter how you spin it, that call decided that game at the very end. The Chiefs could have still 100% won that, but now it's always going to be left up to speculation on, well, would the Eagles have made a game-winning drive? Would the Eagles have stopped them on that red zone drive? Like, there's so many question marks now that the win can't feel as good as it would have if the refs didn't make that call. It's a lose-lose for everybody except the refs that may have been paid off. Like, I'm actually starting to believe that they are influenced in some way financially in order to make these awful calls. We just saw it recently in the NBA with the infamous no call against the Lakers. I'm not even going to bother going down that road right now. I already fucking ranted about that on stream for quite some time, and I'm not even a goddamn Lakers fan either. I just hate how awful calls decide the outcome of the biggest games. I just think that's horrible. Like, it's just bad. And what's even worse is there's really no incentive to be good at your job as a referee. Like, if you do well, cool. If you do poorly, there's no repercussions. Like, some of the worst refs of all time are still currently refs. Like, at the biggest, highest stage. I don't understand why they have so much leniency in situations like this, and so much power, too. This is a call that should have been thoroughly looked under with a microscope 1,000 times. Bring in a third-party investigation unit for this call tonight. Like, have them double-check. Bring out a fucking forensics team. I don't care. It's the biggest call of that game, in the most crucial moment of the entire game. Really do your due diligence to ensure that call is legitimate and necessary. Because you do not want a game to wrap up the way this one did. It causes nothing but turmoil, and it ruins the entire thing. The Super Bowl was amazing all the way up until it wasn't. At the very last 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes. It's craziness. Can't believe I'm actually making a sports ranting video, but my family and I were having so much fun watching the Super Bowl, and when that call was made, collectively all of us let out an audible groan in frustration, and it took the wind out of all of our sails. None of us are Chiefs fans or Eagles fans. We didn't give a fuck who won. It was just such an amazing game. And to have it in this way is deflating. I can only imagine Philadelphia Eagles fans right now. But anyway, I just wanted to vent about all this. Also, I'll tackle one more thing that I've already seen pop up a lot, where it's like, no, it's technically a holding no matter what. I mean, I just disagree. Like, even with the way the rule's written and the way that it's typically enforced, it still doesn't seem like a hold. His movement really wasn't impeded at all, and the ball was still pretty uncatchable anyway, so it's not like it would have had a huge impact on the outcome of that play in particular. So even if you want to argue that technically it's a hold, it's still a call that doesn't need to be made, especially given the magnitude of the game, because that call ends the game on the spot when you make it. This was the most important moment of the game. This was pivotal. And that call being made instantly decides the outcome of the entire game. Their fate was sealed the second they threw that penalty. So I don't think that it needed to be made, nor should it have been, because I don't think any games should be decided by a penalty like that. It's fucking pathetic. It's laughable, really. And that's why a lot of people are screaming rigged, because it did decide the winner of this match. No matter how you argue it, they won immediately off of that call. So it's just a real shame. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about all of that. That's about it. See ya. Last night was the saddest moment in sports history. Jake Paul won his fight against Ben Askren. Ben Askren is no spring chicken. He's 36 years old. He's had like 15 fucking surgeries. He's basically just like Frankenstein's monster held together by little staples and shit. But he's still a 19-2, extremely decorated and talented fighter from the MMA. And Jake Paul is a YouTuber. While Ben Askren was making a living beating ass in the MMA, Jake Paul was making a living kissing ass on the Disney Channel. And somehow, Jake absolutely blasted Ben. It wasn't even close. The entire fucking fight fits into a Twitter gif. It was like a 40-second fight and a TKO to win it in the first round. I just genuinely can't believe it. Until a couple years ago, the only thing Jake Paul ever fought was to get out of his brother's shadow. And now all of a sudden he's beating a professional fighter? Yes, Ben Askren is a bit older and he looks like an alcoholic father who climbed into the ring last night, but that's still a 19-2 professional MMA legend. And he got manhandled by Jake Paul somehow. It wasn't even close. I'm actually pretty sure the only hit that Ben landed was when they hugged each other and gave each other kisses on the cheek, and he gave him like a little love tap on his oblique. I'm pretty sure that is the only shot from Ben that connected and the only punch he threw. I could be misremembering, but I can't show the fight for obvious reasons on YouTube. I can only tell you about it, but if you go on Twitter, the entire fight is there because it's so incredibly short. It was sad to watch, to be honest. It looked like someone's dad went to school, to teach a bully a lesson, but then just got their ass beat. It was a very unfortunate thing to witness. There was no grace at all for Ben. When he got knocked out, it was cartoony. He got, like, hit on the temple, and he, like, fucking threw his arms up and fell backwards. It looked like someone trying to sell a move in the WWE, which is why there's some conspiracy theories about it being rigged. I mean, it really did look weird. It looked like in Power Rangers when they get hit and the sparks fly out and they just do, like, one of these and fly backwards doing a backflip. It looked really over the top, trying to, like, sell that this is a huge hit. I'll get into those conspiracy theories in a minute. I personally don't think it was rigged, although it is a little weird how Ben was able to take so much abuse throughout his MMA career and still go on to win most of those matches, but a single fucking connecting blow from Jake Paul kills him. I mean, I watched and everyone's watched now, the Ben Askren vs. Lawler, where he's just getting pounded, absolutely fucking annihilated, his cheeks getting spread, his face getting bukkakied with punches, and he went on to win that fight. But a single punch from Jake Paul is apparently more devastating than, like, that 50 fucking thousand furious punch combination from Lawler. Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I just don't really think many sporting events are rigged anymore. I think that's kind of an old-fashioned thing, because it always gets found out, and it always leads to a huge problem. So I would just be surprised if he risked his entire legacy to be this humiliating laughingstock just for, like, a little extra money. I would be very surprised if that was the truth. I'll get into that a little bit deeper in a minute, but I just want to talk a bit more about the fight itself. The fight took like 4 hours to start. You got like an entire circus performance beforehand, except for the slapping, which was great. I love slapping, as you all know, but it was filmed so terribly that most people thought the slapping was fake. They need to fire whatever camera crew was filming that, because that really did a horrible job of showing how fucking cool slapping is. It made it look silly and fake and scripted, which I don't think it was, but they filmed it like shit. It's like every time a slap was thrown, they'd change the camera angle and like shaky cam it a little bit, so it just looks really fake and dumb. The whole 4 hours leading up to the fight, most people started losing interest and just like falling asleep. The fight didn't start till like 12:30, when it was like scheduled for 9, but even with every other fight, it usually takes like 2 hours. This took an extra 2 hours. It was horrible. I didn't pay for it. Luckily, I would have felt like I was scammed if I did. I just got the highlights from chat because I was streaming at the time, so they were keeping me updated, and then I just look on Twitter to see what was going on. And then once the fight happened, I took a piss, and by the time I was done with my piss, the entire fucking fight was over. Victory by TKO in the first round for Jake Paul was probably the last thing I would have expected with this fight. He didn't KO him fully. He knocked him down. He didn't, like, banish him to the Shadow Realm with the punch. But he did fuck him up, and the ref called it pretty early. I'm not too familiar with boxing, but it seemed like a really early stoppage in my opinion, because Ben didn't stay down super long. He got back up. He was a little wobbly, but I've seen plenty of boxing matches, some classics that went down in history where the person was wobbly, bloody, and they continued to fight, and that person would win. So I do think like the stoppage was a little early, but maybe I'm just a bit naive and having a little too much confidence in Ben. Maybe his soul really did leave his body on that first punch, and the only thing standing at that point was a corpse, a fucking husk of Ben Askren, who does look quite a bit like Beef Testosterone, my fighter that I made in the UFC games. And just like Beef Testosterone, he got fucking abused. All credit to Jake, because it does look like he knows what he's doing, and it seems he does really care about boxing. So, just wanted to talk about the fight being pretty fucking wild and shocking, but now I want to talk about the conspiracy theories that are developing about it being a fake fight, scripted, rigged, shit like that. And I will say, again, it is odd how easily Ben went down and gave up and didn't fight the stoppage or anything. He seemed just totally content for it to be over, and it didn't seem like his heart was really in it. Watching the fight, he doesn't really make any moves. The only time he even shows any act of aggression towards Jake is he, like, kind of goofily charges at him one time, and, like, wiggles his way over there, kind of like a penguin going at him, and then doesn't even throw a punch or anything. He just, like, wiggles at him, and then that's it. And then everything after that was all Jake Paul being the aggressor towards Ben. And then after the knockout, the TKO, after it's all over, Ben was leaving with his wife, and they were both smiling ear to ear. As they were leaving the tunnel, Ben, his team, everyone around him just looks jubilant. They don't look like a team that just lost. It looks like they had a great night at the casino after just getting embarrassed in front of the whole world. Which is odd. Looking at old Ben Askren highlights and shit, when he loses, he doesn't seem that happy about it. Especially not with a fucking TKO. That'd be something you'd be pretty sad about. For example, in that historic loss to Masvidal, where he got the fastest KO in history against Ben Askren, Ben wasn't exactly bubbly about that loss afterwards. He wasn't happy like he is in this loss. And the loss against Masvidal, I don't think is nearly as embarrassing as this one. Though it is still embarrassing because it is now the record for the fastest UFC KO in history. And now this is the most embarrassing loss in fucking sports history, so Ben is holding 2 very prestigious titles. He wasn't happy when Masvidal kneed him in the face and fucking blasted his consciousness to a different plane, but he is happy here for some reason. He's smiling, leaving, like he just went downstairs on Christmas morning and saw that new bike he always wanted. It's a very different response to an even more embarrassing loss. Maybe it wasn't as painful as Masvidal, but he still lost by TKO, which means there had to be some level of pain because you just got fucking blasted, apparently. So it is weird to see such wildly different responses to equally bad, well, not equally bad knockouts. Masvidal's, I thought for sure he took Ben's fucking head off, but equally as embarrassing losses, I suppose, is a better way of saying it. So yeah, his response to it's weird. His lack of drive to win seems weird because it didn't really seem like he was even really going for it. The whole thing did come across odd, but I don't think it was scripted or faked. If I had to guess, I think Ben just didn't respect Jake at all, which makes sense because almost nobody respects Jake, and for good reason, I suppose. But I think what happened is the same thing that happened with Nate. He probably didn't put much effort into training. He thought he'd come in here and just roll him. But Jake Paul's not incompetent. He knows what he's doing with boxing, so he got fucked up. That would be my guess, because I really just don't think throwing matches like this is super common, especially not when his entire legacy is now going to be the butt of all sports jokes. I just find that unlikely. Ben has a lot of accomplishments under his belt, and now none of them will ever be talked about again. He will always be remembered as the guy that lost to a YouTuber. And I just don't think he would willingly accept that just for a little extra money. I just find that very hard to believe. But yeah, anyway, that's about it. Just wanted to talk about it for a little bit. So yeah. You never forget the first time you get scammed. For me, and probably for many others, it was RuneScape. A game that'll teach you to never trust anyone ever again. It'll even have you questioning the real motives behind your parents' decisions. It'll really just change the way you look at the world and make you afraid of betrayal at every turn. But I also think getting scammed on RuneScape prepared me for the reality of shit out there. Since then, I've been very good about avoiding scams. If I get a call that says anything about my vehicle's extended warranty, I hang that shit up right away. If I get a call that even sounds like a telemarketer, I just immediately hang that shit up. They don't even get the fucking breath out of me into the phone. I'm just putting that shit down. But one scam I have fallen victim to, unfortunately, over the last year or so is watching YouTuber boxing fights. It's like this guilty little pleasure, and every time it's over, I just feel like I've been scammed. I feel dirty. I feel like I've sinned. I'm unclean. And I've made a vow, a very holy promise to never watch one of these again, or at least not pay for them or watch them in full. I went to the Logan Paul vs. Floyd Mayweather fight, which was one of the most regretful experiences of my life. An event so bad it changed the way I perceive our universe. It was beyond boring. There's not even a word that exists to describe just how insufferably boring going to that was, and how awful I felt having paid for it too. But just like the free armor trimming scam in RuneScape, it did teach me something. And I will no longer be watching any of these fucking YouTuber fights or paying for them or any of that shit. However, I have still been kept up to date on what's going on. I know Jake Paul is fighting Tyron Woodley today. I think it's today. And I couldn't give a fuck less about it. However, I've seen a few clips floating around on Twitter, and there's one in particular I want to talk about. This is the face-off here. Jake Paul's even got like a fucking Megazord Gundam thing behind him. Then he gets up in Tyron Woodley's face trying to be intimidating. And I just feel like Jake Paul's confused. I feel like he doesn't know how to handle testosterone, so to me it looks like he wants to kiss him on the mouth, and he doesn't know if he should. I think Jake Paul should have kissed him, at least a little peck on the cheek. He's all about having like a big show before the fight, and that would have been pretty hardcore. He's already got like a robot behind him, like this fucking battle bot over there, looking like something out of real steel. So why not go the extra mile and really give us all something to talk about? Just start making out with each other before the fight. So why do I want to talk about this? It's because for a long time I thought Jake Paul being stupid was just an act, like a persona he puts on. but I've listened to a couple of the things he's been doing with Tyron Woodley, like their shit talking back and forth, and I'm convinced he's just actually one of the dumbest men on the planet. He has an extremely hard time stringing together even a single sentence without sounding extremely scared. It's like every time Jake Paul opens his mouth, not only do you have to hear like this diarrhea that comes from it, but it just sounds like he's perpetually presenting in front of a class for his class project and he's nervous. I don't know why he has such a hard time presenting himself without sounding absolutely dumb. Like, irredeemably goofy and silly. And Tyron Woodley calls that out every chance he gets. I also just don't think Jake Paul knows how to look tough. Like, he gets all these tattoos and it doesn't make him look cool or scary. It just somehow makes him look more and more like a goofy goober. And him acting tough is him, like, sensually getting into someone's face. Like, him putting his forehead on Tyron Woodley's forehead isn't scary or intimidating. It makes it seem like I just flipped on a porno. Like, my girlfriend puts her head to my forehead sometimes, like, cuddling. You know, maybe I'm picking up the wrong signals. Maybe she's trying to challenge me to a fight, and I'm misconstruing the information here. But to me, it doesn't seem tough. It seems like Jake Paul has all of these hormones going on. He's probably on some gear. His pecs are looking a little more titty-like, so maybe he doesn't know how to handle all of these endorphins going on. So he's in Tyron Woodley's face, and he's like, you know, he doesn't know whether or not he wants to, like, lick him and kiss him, or, like, you know, put his finger up to him like, you should be scared. You know, I don't know. He just doesn't seem like he understands how to be tough. It's like he's a bad actor trying to play the tough guy and doing it poorly.
Ask Amanda Serrano. Ask Charles Conwell. Ask Tyron Woodley.
Ask these nuts.
This has been the best moment of this whole little fucking thing so far. Tyron Woodley dropping a D's nuts on him. That had to be the most stern D's nuts I've ever seen in my fucking life. He delivered it like he was Arnold as the Terminator, hitting him with the D's nuts line. Like, where do you even go from there? The whole fucking thing should have stopped right then and there. When someone gets a D's nuts into something, no matter how intense or serious the talk is, like, you can't help but giggle. Like, that puts the kibosh on the whole thing right away. Like, I remember an older video, too. I'd have to really go out of my way to find it. But there was, like, a mover who was getting yelled at by some angry tenant at an apartment complex. And he says, "What's your name?" And he said, "These nuts." And then even the tenant's, like, laughing. He's like, oh, my God. It just makes you feel silly, right? So Tyron Woodley dropping those D's nuts there, I feel like Jake Paul lost in that moment. Like, the fight's already over. Tyron Woodley wins. I don't know anything about Tyron Woodley, but in my book, he's already beaten Jake Paul. Hopefully Jake Paul loses. Probably won't. I don't know if Tyron Woodley is like a boxer. Probably not, because Jake Paul doesn't challenge boxers. He's the only boxer who refuses to fight a boxer. Next, he might be challenging a professional bowler, so that'll be exciting. But anyway, for now, that's about it. See ya. I'm coming home.
Just over the next hill.
Let's go over that hill.
Path, you'll find Big Wayne's compound. A secluded mountaintop spot that plays host to the craziest bunch of thrill-seeking hillbillies you ever saw. So hop in the truck, y'all, because we're headed out to Slap Mountain.
Let's fucking go. Miller Lite in the back. Sister in the passenger seat,
Mr.
baby.
Crystal
Let's
entered
ride.
The Slap Mountain. Crystal left Slap Mountain in defeat, but not before insulting and offending nearly everyone in attendance.
Oh, come on,
especially
Mr.
Slap
Crystal.
Mountain veteran
Big James, I don't care how big your damn hands are. If I go to the second round, I'm slapping the piss out of you too. And that, my friend,
This is so wholesome.
and disrespected him continuously throughout the tournament, along with nearly every staff member, including the official, who just happened to be Big James Mayhem in disguise. Furious
It is
at
a
the
pretty good
disrespect
disguise.
towards the Mayhems, the
It's like
fans
Clark Kent.
enjoyed the
You just put on
hillbillies'
some
KO of
glasses.
Mr. Crystal. That's when Big James realized what had to be done.
Does Big James fight him?
Hello, folks,
Oh, let's
and
go.
welcome to Slap Mountain. My name is JT Tilley, and today we have a Slap Mountain grudge match.
I'm
between
fucking
President
ready.
Bad Boy Mr. And here he comes, folks. It's JD Mayhem.
Oh, I see. Okay. Welcome,
JD
JD.
is the youngest of the Mayhem clan, leaping into the ring and preparing to
Oh, he
defend
looks
the
ready.
Mayhem family name.
About to fucking slap his scalp off.
JD inserting his cotton. He has an interesting approach with his cotton balls. He likes to be.
Who keeps
very
asking
tight
who's
in
James?
competition.
You're the fucking host of this event, Cream Pie. You
All
know,
right, now
you
that
should
all
know who
5
James
cotton
is.
balls are securely in place, we can continue. If you look down at ringside, you might notice legendary slap mountain pioneer Randall Randleman. Big James brought him in to help prepare the men for their fights.
Randall's here.
Clearly see
what the
hard
fuck?
work that they've been putting in.
Let's go, Randall.
Our
Randall.
next contestant is stepping out of the tree line now, escorted to the ring by legendary slap mountain competitor superstar Kenneth. It's Mr. Crystal.
Welcome back, Mr. Crystal.
Mr. Crystal has become somewhat of an internet celebrity since the premiere.
Healed
of
from the
Slap Mountain.
concussion. That's good.
We've received thousands of messages and requests for Mr. Crystal, who seems to have an undeniable appeal to female slap fans. Mr. Crystal always has something to say. Stepping up onto the platform, that's our sign that it's time to get this fight
It's
cracking.
buttered up like Ed and Eddie.
Let's
just
turn
slipped a
over
little
now
bit on
to
it.
our ring announcer, Little Bobby Gomez.
JD Mayhem.
JD.
Mayhem with a look
Let's
of intensity
go.
on his face.
Captain America.
Mr. Crystal.
And as
Mr.
always,
Crystal's
Mr.
he's a
Crystal
bad
called the show.
man.
This match is
That's a
set
bad
for
boy.
round match.
Ass crack out, palms ready.
So we're going to start this match with a half-hearted handshake.
Oh, Jesus,
And then a
JD.
karate chop to the neck by JD.
Let's slow down. We need to adjust the targeting
All right,
parameters
there's no
here.
denying
Gotta
that was an
calibrate.
illegal strike, so they're going to give him a penalty.
He didn't even try. Mr. Crystal's got some
Here we
meat
go
on
with
him.
Mr. Crystal's first slap.
Don't be afraid, JD. Embrace it.
Oh,
Oh,
nice slap by Mr. Crystal.
damn.
Holy smokes.
Not bad. Can someone get my man some
Crystal's
beer?
quite a charismatic character. He's actually
Maybe a
become
cheeseburger?
very, very popular over the course of the last few months. Women love this guy. Oh, Mr. Crystal.
Hey, whoa, whoa,
JD
whoa.
Mayhem gets a
We were
bird
just,
right
it was
back.
wholesome until Mr.
I gotta tell
Mr.
you,
Crystal needs to
JD
be fucking
Mayhem
stopped. Put him
does
down,
not like
JD.
Mr. Crystal at all, and you cannot blame him after all of the disrespect toward his family. Here we are with the beginning of round 2.
Do this one for the entire Mayhem family
JD's
tree.
gonna haul off here. Okay. That wasn't a
JD.
good slap at all.
JD.
The one thing I can say
My
about
man.
that slap is that it was illegal.
JD.
And it looks like the officials are going to call
Parents
another
slap
penalty
their
here.
children
JD
harder
is
when they're
now at a
disappointed in
2
their
penalty.
grades. Come on, JD.
So here we are with another 90-second break.
Man, Mr.
JD Mayhem
Crystal's
is at a
really
2 penalty.
hydrating. Oh, never mind.
Mr. Crystal, no penalties.
He just likes the feeling of the water.
Mr. Crystal has some genetic gifts that have helped him to refine his slapping skills over the years. If you look closely, Mr. Crystal has actually got 2 sets of hips, so he's able to generate 2 times the power as a normally constructed man. Now, JD Mayhem has some genetic gifts as well. I think he's got an extra toe. All right, here we are with the beginning of round 3.
Alright, JD, round 3 is where we really do our best
All right,
work.
JD hauls off.
Oh, there it
Using the
is.
helicopter technique.
Yeah, that was like the full, like, eagle.
Okay, that was another
Like the
illegal
Freedom
strike
Eagle
by
slap.
JD Mayhem.
Does
That's
that-
a 3 penalty for JD
Yeah, does that
Mayhem.
mean anything, though?
If he does reach a 5 penalty, he will be disqualified, and Mr. Crystal will win
Oh,
the
what the
match.
fuck? No, JD, we gotta buckle that down.
Right on the
Oh,
money
man,
again.
Mr. Crystal is
with
running
some
away with it.
solid techniques this afternoon.
Come on, JD, don't let him win this.
She's actually sent me a video file here, and she's asking if I will play it.
I always love the lore
I'm
here.
going to go ahead and play it during the break here.
Slap Mountain, it's become notorious for just...
Hey,
Oh,
all
God.
you boys and girls and YouTubers out there, and if you can't believe this, then you don't need to believe it at all. Just leave him alone.
Okay.
When you're right, you're
Now we're
right.
back
If you
at the
can't
table
believe
for
it,
round
then you
4,
don't believe
and
it at
Mr.
all.
Crystal suddenly has a lot of concerns about
Tammy
JD Mayhem's
was
slapping
right
technique.
there.
Could be on
You'll get
purpose.
no argument from me.
And I'm not so sure that JD or James Mayhem really care too much. Nope, another illegal strike to the ear. That's going to be a 4th penalty for JD.
JD, we
Now,
need to
be fair,
take
JD
this
is
more
really having a tough
seriously.
time finding his target, and because of the genetics,
He, like,
sometimes
throws
it's a
them in
little bit
slow
difficult
motion.
to tell.
All right. He's
All right,
able to
Mr.
he's able to
Crystal's
take it
slap
pretty
doesn't
well.
look too bad. Another solid shot. Okay,
Well,
so
I don't think
as
there's a
it
chance
stands,
JD wins
we've
this.
got
He's about to pick up
JD
his 5th
Mayhem
penalty.
Sitting at a 4 penalty, and Mr. Crystal with no penalties.
It has been a pretty wild one, Ranch.
Oh, and now JD is raging out in the middle of the ring. This is not good.
He's getting hype.
There's clearly a lot of built-up
What is
resentment here.
what are we doing with cream pie over here?
Okay, wait, now JD is screaming at the fans in the audience. I just got another video message from Tammy.
Please back off.
Why does this keep happening?
What's going on here, Kevin? What are you doing?
Yeah, what the fuck is going on here? Alright. JD back in the mega mix.
Round 5 is underway. JD Mayhem hauling off.
Come on, JD.
And he slaps Mr. Crystal in the neck again.
JD!
That might just do it for this match. That
God,
could be a 5
Jesus
penalty
Christ.
for JD. They really just seem to want to continue punishing Mr. Crystal. And with Brad not calling that 5th penalty on JD, this match is going to continue.
Just don't call any penalties, Brad. Have mercy.
Okay, here we are with round 6. JD Mayhem. Using
Whoa!
100%.
Jesus Christ!
That was an illegal strike. Let's see if Brad calls it.
He did the helicopter. I thought that was fine. I mean, I think that's legal.
At the eyebrow, but the majority of the hand was right in the strike zone. So, well,
I agree with Brad.
This fight will continue. Round 6.
Thanks, Brad. Oh,
and another fantastic slap by Mr. Crystal. That was probably his best slap of this fight so far.
Yeah, he's getting stronger.
No doubt that JD felt that.
How many water bottles has he drank?
Like
his 20th water bottle.
Just a little bit here. Unbelievable. Mr.
He doesn't even drink it. He just fucking
round.
he just swishes it and spits.
Leave my man alone.
Jesus Christ!
Alone.
Tammy! Fuck! JD! Oh!
Yes! Another devastating blow.
JD's turning it up.
That one was so wild that it actually hit him in the back of the head. And again, no penalty from Brad.
I agree. No penalty. That was a legal hit. We let it ride.
Great.
Oh!
Oh! JD Mayhem shoots his cotton ball out at Mr. Crystal in response. Wow. Dad picks up JD's nostril cotton. JD immediately shoves it in his ear. Oh, Mr. Crystal resorting to insults. He's calling JD Mayhem.
All right, what round are we in? The 100th round. Where are we at? JD's about to put him to bed in this one. I feel it.
He's asking Superstar Kenneth for more advice. Okay, he's talking to Cream Pie Okerlund now about his right hand.
Why are you talking to Cream Pie Okerlund? He's not a doctor.
I think Mr. Crystal's.
I don't even know what he's doing here. He just kind of hangs out. He's not a medical professional. He's just fucking Cream Pie Okerlund.
That's it. This fight's over, folks. We've got a winner. Your winner's going to be JD Mayhem. And I can see here Mr. Crystal's actually starting to get a little bit emotional here talking to Cream Pie.
Why did that happen?
He's going to shake his hand with that right hand. JD Mayhem.
What is going on? His hand hurts?
Disrespect. And now they're going to go ahead and give each other a hug.
Did he hide razor blades on his face or something? Why does his hand hurt?
And again for his father.
He wasn't slapping that hard.
I sure would like to get a look at that hand, actually. Okay, there it is. It doesn't seem like there's anything wrong. It just looks like a regular little baby hand. Well, friends, there you have it. After 7 crazy rounds of competition, Mr. Crystal surrenders, and the Mayhem family walks away with
the Mayhems are doing great, to be honest. Oh, fuck. That was a great episode.
Subscribe. My name is JT Tilley.
I think Mr. Crystal threw the better slaps.
Next time.
And he's being a good sport about it. I think Mr. Crystal definitely threw the better slaps. JD just had more endurance. I don't really know what happened to his hand here. I was expecting he'd be like bruised or something, or maybe like his wrist hurt from the slaps. But he's like saying it's his hand, and it seems like a pretty normal. But yeah, I'm not sure why he forfeited. Who's ready to watch some arm fucking? In blue we got the big beefy Bolt Honeycomb, and in green we've got George. Right now, these two musky men are duct-taping their hands together, joining in a holy matrimony of unholy intentions. Oh, Bolt's setting the tone early. He's going for that tuggy-wuggy on his titties right now. But George is not fazed. Now Bolt's answering a phone call on his arm. The ref says it's time for arm wrestling, and they're getting right into it, wasting no time whatsoever. A beautiful exchange of blows right here. George is just showing no mercy here. A relentless assault against Bolt. They don't call him Jerk-Off George for nothing. He will jerk you off. Underneath this 240p quality, there's a fight going on. I know these pixels may be obscuring your view, but you know, it's the best I could find. I tell you, it seems George is showing no signs of slowing down. George is just curious right now as to how much pain he can inflict into Bolt before he just combusts. Bolt is just completely on the defensive right now. Now it looks like he's about to perform a magic trick or some shit. I don't know what he's doing. He is going for a move right out of the Kama Sutra. His signature move. He's hanging like a bat, and the ref is calling it off immediately. That's an illegal move right there. You cannot have fist to scrotum contact. It's in the rule book, and it was very clear to the ref and everyone in the audience that George's knuckles were rubbing against Bolt's nutsack. You just can't do that. Let's check this replay. Here you can see he's going for the standard cowgirl position, and that's when the contact with the scrotum was made. Bolt is just shocked by the decision, but he's not deterred. He's ready to get right back into the action for round number 2. George is looking a little more fired up this time. Yep, he's just going right in for it. Oh, but Bolt is showing no regard for the rule book. But this one's clean. This is a clean one right here. There is no scrotal contact here. No scrotty McGrotty, no full scrotal, no scrotal contact whatsoever. This one's clean. How much longer can he hang on? Oh, he looks like he passed out from the blood rushing to his head. That's unfortunate. A close match. George is the winner. I quit. Just stupid fucking sport. The miracle of birth is a beautiful thing, and yesterday I was lucky enough to witness it. Now this wasn't the birth of like a human being or anything. This was the birth of something far more important. A new sport. It's called arm boxing, and it was discovered yesterday but has existed for far longer. And I would already argue that this is one of the biggest discoveries the human race has made since penicillin. So let me show you a bit of what arm boxing is, and then we'll get into it. Never mind, just kidding. It's just a prank. I can't actually show you anything from the fights because I just got copyright blocked when I posted a video trying to show 30 seconds worth of clips. So, can't actually show you any of the video here. It's forbidden footage. I'll just show you some pictures. As you can see, it's two fighters with their hands duct taped together, and then they start exchanging blows, beating the shit out of each other until someone either dies or time runs out. They're also strapped to that stand in front of them so they can't escape. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room for tomfoolery here. This is just good old-fashioned pugilistic justice. A lot of people sent me this clip as a new sport that I should be aware of because I'm very much into these up-and-coming combat sports like slapping I've been into for years now. And I think this is cool, of course. It's very silly, very fun. You know, it puts you on the edge of your seat like, wow, is that guy's head gonna get blasted clean off his shoulders? Holy shit, he's gonna punch his teeth straight through the back of his skull like a shotgun blast. You know, like, it keeps you guessing. And it's fun to watch, but it's also not new. I actually made a video covering what this is based on, X-Arm. And I covered X-Arm years ago and recently recovered it again just because I find X-Arm so fascinating. It's basically this, but they used to have grappling. Let me show you.
Yeah, we've thrown it out completely.
I have not seen him strike yet. LaCour coming down. Oh my goodness! He's trying to throw an armbar. He is. He's throwing an armbar.
Wait a minute.
Hey, the judge just threw in a red towel. We're going to stop action here. I'm not...
Gary, I think the judge felt that the arm was in jeopardy.
I fucking love that. The dude throws his leg over the stand there like he's about to give him a lap dance, and then he goes into like some kind of crazy armbar looking like a goddamn metapod hanging upside down on a tree with the dude's arm on his nuts. Like, fucking amazing. X-Arm was so goofy and fun. I think there was only ever like 3 episodes of it. I already forgot now. But it wasn't super popular, faded into obscurity, and most people don't remember it. But clearly it's been brought back in some capacity here, because arm boxing is obviously borrowing some DNA from X-Arm, but it looks like they got rid of the grappling component there. Probably for the best, because that shit could get so wacky. So that the guy in the blue in the clip you just watched who looked like an alcoholic G.I. Joe figure, that guy could have caused serious damage to the opponent's arm. Like, he fucking got it into a crazy twist. He damn near did like a crocodile death roll on it, snapping his arm clean off. So I think grappling was probably a bad idea for X-Arm off the get-go. And arm boxing recognized that it's also not super fun to watch unless you're trying to have like a good belly laugh at it. So to me it seems like they took the best part of X-Arm and just did it again. Which is fine by me. More X-Arm is fantastic news. Hope you're ready for some more fun. Instead of just showing you an actual clip, I've got a couple screenshots, but maybe if I just string together enough pictures here, it'll be like a little flip book. Honestly, I'm starting to warm up to this format here. I think this is better than watching the video of the fight. This is like a manga. This is cool. You can see how difficult it is to throw actual meaty, meaningful punches when you're strapped down like this and unable to really get your body behind it. A lot of these seem like wet noodles that they're throwing at each other, but there are some very serious hits here too. Since you can't really defend yourself, everything's just on the attack, all out offense. So you need to have a really strong chin, which clearly both of them do. But you're going to see a lot of wild flailing here, especially from the guy in the blue trunks. That guy went for like a spinning back fist. It was like he was doing a Rob side B from Super Smash Brothers. So, you know, sometimes you just get desperate to land hits. You turn your brain off and just start like doing this like a windmill attack, like out of Simpsons, where, you know, I'm gonna walk at you slowly and if you get hit it's your fault, that kind of thing. Because you have 1 minute, you can't use one of your hands, and you just have to just keep punching as much as possible, so things are gonna get sloppy. And I think that's the beauty of it. Coming up towards the end of the match here, you can really feel the high octane adrenaline pumping throughout your body now, I'm sure. These are important screenshots though. In fact, this one right here is one that I wanted to specifically talk about. This is when he starts just wailing on his opponent's arm. So that strategy you saw him employ briefly at the end there is something I thought about too, where he started like hammer fisting on his opponent's arm. I think that's just the most efficient strategy, because his arm can't move. You're duct taped together. You will always land hits on his arm. It's kind of like leg checks in MMA, where you just kick the other person's leg just to weaken them a little bit as a bit of a nuisance. You know, and then they have to block with their shin. It's just mutual assured destruction. It hurts both people. This is much better than that, because you can just always hit their arm over and over and over again. They can't really defend it. They can't dodge it or anything. They don't have that kind of mobility. Unless, of course, they're like quadruple jointed and can do like a full 360-degree spin at the elbow joint or some crazy shit. They're not going to avoid it. Like, it's just not going to happen. So instead of just getting into the standoff and going for head strikes, you could just keep hitting their arm over and over and over again until you like break the arm. There's also one more match I wanted to at least touch on, where it was like a grudge match between these two. After the guy on the right won, the bell rang and this guy continued to just fucking play his head like a set of bongos. The guy on the left just got completely overpowered immediately because the guy on the right had the fastest fists of all time, so he started to like shield and curl up, so they called the match off. But you couldn't stop this absolute demon. So as he's like cowering in fear here, damn near in the fetal position, he continues to just bring down the fucking fist onto the back of his skull. This one in particular is extremely aggressive. I don't know what went on between these two, but there's definitely some bad blood there. I guess the guy on the left must have fucked the other dude's wife or something, because they seem to hate each other. He was going for blows to the back of the head after the bell ring, and they'll just straight up kill someone. This is like damn near attempted murder at this point. I felt like I was watching an episode of an anime where the main character just snaps and loses himself to rage and just goes fucking like a flurry of fists until his opponent's dead. Overall, I do find this sport entertaining. I think it's an enjoyable, goofy sport, but I don't enjoy it nearly as much as slapping. Slapping is still always going to be my baby. I absolutely love watching slapping, and I enjoyed this, but I don't see myself being like a long-term fan of this sport. But I do appreciate it and hope they stick with it. They have a whole TikTok page dedicated to it now, and it seems like they've done a few fights. Seems like also a pretty professional setup as well. They've got like a nice stage, you know, they've got a good, you know, belt plus chain link to the stand. The duct tape seems high quality. So I think there's a bright future for it. People clearly find it fascinating at the very least. This clip went super viral on Twitter. Has like 8 million views right now. Their TikTok absolutely exploded as a result of this as well. So I guess we'll see what the future holds. Maybe it'll just continue to improve and get better. But it is always nice to see these kind of silly pop-up sports, you know, get the limelight for a bit, because I always enjoy them. What is it? ESPN The Ocho, where they have like all the crazy sports no one's ever heard of and they're just all wacky. I'm a big fan of that kind of thing, so I'm excited to see what the future holds for arm boxing. That's about it. See ya. What's poppin', laser tag enthusiasts? Are you ready to get turbo to the max? You're watching this year's Lasertron World Championship. I know many of you are concerned with this year coming to an end because the Mayan calendar predicts the end of the world. However, they don't predict the way in which the world will end. Perhaps we'll witness the end of the world right here. Perhaps it'll go up in a laser explosion because we have an explosive matchup between the two best in the business, Cyberwolf and Bodhi Lee. Our two athletes are ready to square off and they're just getting right into it. Holy fuck, no handshake, no mercy, no holds barred, no reason for 1v1 laser tags to exist, but yet here we are. I'll go ahead and make it clear now, I don't know which one's Cyberwolf and which one's Bodhi Lee, but I think we can just appreciate this for the art that it is instead of focusing on who's winning or who's losing, because there are no winners or losers in this sport. The only real losers are the audience that's watching this, which is us. As you can tell, laser tag one-on-ones are an absolutely brutal sport. These are the two finest warriors here duking it out for our entertainment. This is no different from the gladiators during the ancient Roman times. We're already a few rounds deep, but these monsters have not had enough. They're going for more. This is a bloodbath. They're coming for scalps. They're getting right into it. That father of three just pulled the old loop-de-doop and pull on the other guy. This is a real clash of titans of biblical proportions. Oh, that was a short round. That guy making short work of the other guy. I may not know who's who here, but I do have information on them sitting in front of me. So Cyberwolf, also known in the circuit as the Laser Mayonnaise, first entered the scene around 5 years ago after he took his son Antonius von Kilgore to the local Zappity Zoopities Boppity Boopities laser tag arena and just fell in love with the sport. He became consumed by the idea of being the best there ever was. So shortly after, he divorced his wife and left his son behind to tour the United States, training in the finest laser tag dojos he could find, including a long stay with world-renowned laser tagger Osama bin Laden. He's truly been molded by the best laser taggers of our generation and is here to show the fruits of his labor. Now Bodhi Lee, on the other hand, also known as the Blazer Laser, has a completely different origin story to Cyberwolf. He says he was just driving down the road and saw a laser tag arena and said, you know what, that's what I want to do. Well, that's just embarrassing, Bodhi Lee, but we're glad you're here. People from all over the world have crowded in here, crammed shoulder to shoulder to watch this showdown here, and they're getting their money's worth here. This is an absolutely vicious battle here. These two men are just going to war right now. The spectators are on the edge of their feet. They almost look interested. Another round down, I can't tell who won it, it doesn't matter, because this right here is what good competition is all about. Two soldiers, two generals, two lieutenants going at each other, giving it their all, putting everything they have into their blasters, pouring their heart, soul, tears, and cum into the vests that they wear in order to protect them from the lasers. Without those vests, they would be vaporized instantly. This is a high-risk sport. People are throwing a big hullabaloo about the dangers of football. Well, how about the dangers of laser tag? But these two men, they knew the risks when they entered this battlefield, and they're still coming out here with tits perky as titties, with nipples hard as nipples, ready to prove to the world once and for all who should be wearing the cock ring and who should be wearing the cock chastity belt. This is a truly intense matchup that I've not been paying attention to. The old man in blue does something really cool there, I'm not quite sure, but the bald man's smiling about it. He's ready to go right at it again. Oh, look at that, bobbing and weaving, ducking and dodging. He gets him with the old, how do you do, whoop-de-doo. Goodness me, if you're not shitting your pants yet, you're just not going to be taking a shit at all today. Oh, he just fucks him real good right there. Gets him real hard right in the mouth. My word. Wow, that's his mouth. No, that's not where lasers go. Oh, fuck. I know many people say war never changes, but I beg to differ. Just look at this. This is the new face of war. This is how differences between nations will be settled in a manly, gentlemanly, one-on-one laser tag match. This is the future. This is bringing back memories of middle school when I used to go laser tagging with my friends and we would brag about who the best laser tagger was. But that was middle school. This is middle age. There's no excuses here. There is no shame in this sport. Here's a little fun fact for all you wild folks out there that just love laser tag and can't get enough of this fucking shit. Did you know that before there was Jesus Christ, there was laser tag? Where's your God now? Checkmate. Reality? Holy fuck, how long is this match? What is this, a 40-round bout? How do they have the stamina for this? They're so old and this looks almost grueling. They have to move around for short bursts and then jump a little bit. This must be the next generation of CrossFit. Oh goodness. Oh, they're doing it again. They're shooting lasers at each other. Oh fuck. Judgment Day is on its way. Oh, look at this move. Oh, did you see that move? That was a move and a half. The spectators can't even believe it. They're stunned. They're shocked. They're standing up now. Oh man. One knee. He did the one knee move, where he gets down on one knee and shoots his laser too. Oh, now he's doing the standing move where he shoots his laser. This shit's getting out of control. These spectators don't realize they're in the danger zone right now. This is too intense. They might just be fucking blown up by this intensity. It's like when you're watching the space shuttle take off. You need to be at least 3 miles back in order to be safe. Same thing for laser tagging. You want to be at least 3 to 15 miles away because you don't want to be anywhere near a laser tag one-on-one. It's not very fun to watch. But they're still going at it, and we're still here. And you're still here too. Because who would ever want to turn off a laser tag one-on-one? This is that kind of shit you only read about in the American history textbooks, you know, where the greats duked it out and you always wonder what it was like to watch something like that. Well, now you know exactly what it's like. And I hope you're happy. Because I know I am. Man, this is fucking remarkable. They're still going at it. There is no stopping here. There is no brakes on this train. This train was built without brakes. It didn't need them and it didn't want them. They're shaking hands. It's finally over. It's finally fucking over. I don't know who won. We all won because we watched the entire thing. Look at this beautiful display of sportsmanship. Oh, fantastic. What an incredible matchup. Thanks for tuning into this year's Lasertron World Championship thing. I have been getting asked so many times recently, what are my opinions on the KSI vs. Logan Paul fight? Who do I think will win the fight? If KSI and Logan Paul both farted into my face at the same exact moment, whose fart would smell worse? Which one would be stinkier? So I'm going to go ahead and give my opinions on this boxing match. I think the KSI vs. Logan Paul fight is without question, no doubt in my mind, the most important event that I have ever experienced in all 24 years I've existed in this corporeal dimension. In my entire lifetime, nothing has interested me less than the KSI vs. Logan Paul fight. This event has set the bar lower than I could have ever dreamed of as a young boy for things that excite me and things that I would ever be interested in. I would be more willing to go to a sensory deprivation tank to listen to an audio recording of an old man gently colliding chess pieces together than watching this boxing match. Compared to the Logan Paul vs. KSI wet noodle extravaganza boxing match, reading 50 pages worth of terms of service when using iTunes sounds like a goddamn fucking adrenaline rush. This event has set my expectations so low on excitability where no matter what I do, like an obligation maybe, hey, you gotta go fold your clothes while listening to some lullabies, you know what? That's fine because that doesn't sound as boring and as uninteresting as the KSI vs. Logan Paul boxing match. And the worst part about that match is you have to pay to watch it. That's a genuine insult to humanity. The fact that you have to pay to watch this fucking abomination of an event, it single-handedly made another hole in the ozone layer, and a much larger hole at that. It is accelerating climate change. It's destroying our planet. It's fucking disgraceful. Who do I think is going to win the KSI vs. Logan Paul fight? The advertisers. And obviously both KSI and Logan Paul and Deji and Jake Paul win in this situation because they're going to make so much money from all the children who get their parents to pay to watch this thing. Because they all want to see 4 men love tap each other while wearing full safety equipment. The last fight, KSI versus dude guy, it was embarrassing to watch because, you know, they're talking all this mean, hardcore, testosterone, masculine shit. And then they get in the boxing ring and they look like SpongeBob when he was doing karate with like the fucking foam safety equipment and shit. They're decked out in like football pads, knee pads. They don't want to get any boo-boos. They're one step shy of just being in a Zorb ball and fighting each other. For those who don't know what a Zorb ball is, it's that giant plastic ball that you see people get into like with soccer and shit. It's just a giant hamster ball, really. Like, how you gonna talk all this shit? Like, I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm gonna beat your ass so hard, I'm gonna fuck your mother with your ass beating. Like, how you gonna talk all this hardcore shit and then get into the ring and you look like your first day of school and your mom put water wings on you to protect you from bullies? It's sad. If you're gonna have a fight, have a fucking fight. Don't be coming out there in all types of safety equipment and shit like that. It's sad. It's an embarrassment. You should do a lot better. You know, maybe if you weren't wearing football helmets in the ring, I'd be a little more interested to watch. And maybe if it wasn't so obviously fake, it'd be more interesting. But I'm just giving, you know, I'm giving the facts out here. It's fucking boring. It's nothing interesting about it, all manufactured for a really big payday for all of the participants. It's smart from a marketing perspective to take advantage of children who are interested in this manufactured drama and shit, but I don't personally care for fake drama like this kind of shit. I like real drama, I like watching that shit unfold, that's always kind of fun, and I like drama that's so fake and bad that it becomes fun. But, you know, there's a fine line, you know, like when the Sci-Fi Channel becomes aware that their shitty movies are stinky as shit, they start making very self-aware, stinky, shitty movies, and it loses all of its flavor. It loses its charm, it loses its fun, and I'm no longer interested. And that's where I'm at here on this one. I don't dislike people who are interested in this. Fuck yeah. If you're excited for this, hell yeah. It's always nice to have something to be excited about. Just me personally, I couldn't give less of a shit. But if I do need something to help me fall asleep one night, I'll probably throw on highlights from this fight. So there's my opinions on it. I hope I answered your questions on what I think of the KSI versus Logan Paul fight. And don't forget that the KSI Logan Paul Throwdown Showdown Super Slam Spectacular Omega Cum Inducement Fight Ring match, it comes soon sometime, I guess. I don't know when it starts. I think it's late this month. Fuck it, I don't know. It's sometime out there. If you're interested, you already know when it is. I'm not a fucking promoter of it. I don't know why I'm trying to throw out the date it goes down. Who gives a shit? See ya.